night yesterday. KD posted on Instagram that he's already had surgery. KD should have even played in that finals game. Steve Kerr says he understands there will be a lot of finger pointing. Here's more from Kerr.
Kevin checked all the boxes, and he was cleared to play by everybody involved. Now, would we go back and do it over again? Damn right. But that's easy to say after the results. When we gathered all the information, our feeling was the worst thing that could happen would be a re-injury of the calf, and that was the advice and the information that we had. And at that point, once Kevin was cleared to play, he was comfortable with that. We were comfortable with that. So the Achilles came as a complete shock. It's devastating, mostly for Kevin. We made the decision collaboratively with all the information that we had, and we thought it was the right one.
Tough day for the Warriors and KD. Shannon, do you believe Kerr?
I do. I believe that Kevin Durant with Rich Kleiman, who is his agent, who's his business partner, I believe they had outside doctors, an outside doctor or doctors to weigh in along with the Golden State medical staff and front office, and they came to this conclusion. And they basically told KD, you can't hurt yourself any worse than you already are, and if the injury were to reoccur, you would re-hurt the calf. Skip, this is what KD wanted to hear, because KD is an athlete, and having been one for an extremely long time, Skip, we want someone to, man, I think I can play. Okay, I can't hurt it any worse. And they play, and that's how they got KD here. Because Golden State, not only did their doctors tell him, KD had independent doctors tell him the exact same thing that KD wanted to hear. Remember, Skip, I tell you, this is what I tell young guys all the time. I say, surround yourself with people that tell you what you need to know, not what you want to hear. It was reported by Rick Bucher and others that all the people that was telling Kevin Durant what he needed to know, he isolated them. Only the people that was telling him what he wanted to hear is what he surrounded himself with. And here we are. Wanda Durant was on television yesterday, and she kind of let that be known. She believed the doctors did a disservice to her son. There were people in that organization, because remember, Skip, it's being reported. We don't, like I said, I don't have any firsthand knowledge. I can just go by what's being reported, that they were putting pressure. Is Kevin doing everything he possibly can to get back out here? Because you see Clay gutting it up. You see Kevon Looney taking injections. Even Boogie Cousins came back after rupturing a quad, straining his quad in April, and here he is back. Is KD really working hard? Then all of a sudden that starts to seep in, because remember, Skip, they kept planting this seed. He's close. He's close. He's supposed to practice tomorrow. He's supposed to do this the next day. And then all of a sudden, see, KD got the validation that he needed. Skip, these guys went to med school for years upon years to get trained at their craft. They're telling me I can't hurt it any worse. I really want to play. Okay, that's the green light that I need. Skip, they did this young man a terrible disservice. And Kevin Durant bears some responsibility, because he allowed them to appeal to that athletic side of him, the competitive side of him. That is me. I've looked where I've come from, looked at where I got, and we never think anything. Skip, you know, as an athlete, you know the last thing they think is something bad could happen to them. And this is where we are right now. I believe Steve Kerr when he said that they collaborated on this, but Kevin Durant bears a lot of responsibility because he had the final say, but because he wanted to play so bad and the doctor said you can't hurt it any worse, he went with that. And not only did he hurt a calf, but Skip, for me, I never believed it was the calf. I'm sorry. They called me skeptical, called me cynical, called me doubtful, but I believe it was always the Achilles.
So I am with you times 10 on this one. I'm sorry, but as much as I respect Steve Kerr, I don't believe a word he said yesterday. He might have been taking one for the team. He might have been instructed or are encouraged to take that one for the team yesterday. But in the end, I don't believe they made Kevin Durant aware of the full scope of what was going on in his lower leg. I do believe Steve Kerr when he says the calf was completely healed. I'm buying that because I saw Kevin warm up on the calf. And as you well know, if you have any kind of calf strain or tear, you can't push off.
You ain't jumping like that.
And he was
you're not jumping like that, Skip.
pushing into his jumpers, pushing into his dunks. He looked 100% healed in the calf. But again, quick technical point, you have two big calf muscles, the gastroc and the smaller one's the soleus, and they kind of meld into the Achilles and the lower leg. Sometimes the calf strain can signal something going on in the Achilles. And we both thought from the start, May 8th, that night against Houston, I'm just going to guess at these, a 10% risk, a 20% risk of the Achilles. Some risk, some moderately dangerous risk that if he went full bore on the heel calf, that all of a sudden the Achilles could be compromised. And the worst case happened. Again, he might have been able to, you know how the Achilles are, it's the most mysterious injury in all of sports. It's also the most debilitating. And once it goes, you are done for a whole year. And there's also, I hate to bring this up, but it's the one injury that has the highest risk of re-tearing. You know, you can come back too soon and it'll rupture again. We've seen that numerous times. But in this case, look, I told you yesterday I talked to a guy who knows Kevin very well, and he believed that Kevin got guilted into this, that he knew maybe there was some risk going on, but that, as you point out, man, he wants to help his guys. And they all recruited him in the Hamptons, and so it's like, man, we're down 3-1, and look what Clay just did, and look what DeMarcus is doing, look what Kavon's doing, look what Iggy's playing with. I got to try. Even though there's 10 or 20% risk of my Achilles, I got to try. And the worst case happened. And yet, Kevin, in his post yesterday after surgery, he expressed no negativity. He didn't try to throw anybody under the bus, so I'm giving him high marks for that. His mom, Wanda...
But he's hurting.
Yeah, I know he was, obviously. Wanda said the doctors need to bear some responsibility, but she also made it very clear that she doesn't really know what happened because it seems like foggy what exactly transpired. Kevin would know probably more than Wanda would, but Kevin, if we're going to assess blame, I have to blame Kevin as much as I do whoever the doctors were, because Kevin did sign off, but to your point, the athlete in him took over, pride, just unity. You know, you want to be part of a team because you're on the outside looking in, and I get all that. And then the worst happened, and it's a terrible thing, but it probably should have been avoided because I'm convinced there was some issue with the Achilles that signaled don't, and they tried and they failed, and then Steve Kerr has to sit up there and just sort of lie about it to me.
Skip, for me, I agree with you because I believe there was a far greater risk than the medical team led Kevin Durant to believe, his and theirs. This is the way I do it, Skip. And I've been, and trust me, I know this. I've had ankle problems my career, early in my career. Skip, the doctor would tell me, say, well, Shannon, by shooting you up, you do know you're masking this pain. You do know that once you're out there, you pose a greater risk for doing more injury damage to the ligaments because the pain is telling you something's going on. Doctor, shoot it up. Skip, let me tell you what I did. I wanted to play so bad, and my teammates was counting on me, and I didn't want to let anybody down. I had the nerves in my left leg deadened from my mid-calf down to my ankle, so I couldn't feel anything. So I know what Kevin Durant's going through. Nobody can tell me anything when it comes to getting out there on the field or the court to play because you don't want anybody to let down. But let me tell you what else I would do. Anytime a doctor told me something, I said, well, let me put it to you like this, doc. Because doctors do a great job, Skip, of saying, I'm a doctor, and then looking at this guy, they're, moving along like this. I said, if I was your son or daughter and I had this injury, would you let me play? If I was your mom, if I was your dad, would you say have the surgery or wait 6 months? See, you got to put it to them in that context. You got to bring the human element. Let that side of them like, hold on. Because it's easy. Kevin Durant is not whatever the doctor name was, Skip, that's not my son. But bring that into the equation. If I was your son, if I was your daughter, I was your mom or dad, what would you advise me to do now? What would you advise me to do then?
Well, to your point of your story, I don't think you could have deadened this to make it any better, because I'm not sure he was feeling any Achilles pain. It was just dangerously compromised already.
Right.
That's what I believe.
But and that's the thing, Skip. There has to be, because you know when you keep having a reoccurring injury to a specific area, there has to be an underlining. You know, when guys keep having hamstrings, either they're quad dominant or they're imbalanced some way, because that's not the way. The body is not supposed to keep re-aggravating, re-injuring a specific area if everything is properly aligned. Kevin Durant, over the last couple of years, Skip, we've seen him miss games because of calf injuries. There's something. Maybe the Achilles is weak. Maybe he's off somewhere. But there has to be an underlying theme. So what doctors will do is that for an athlete, Skip, yes, you want to play because you know there's only Skip, you can't be a professional athlete as long as a doctor can be a doctor. You don't have a 30-year, 40-year shelf life to do what you do. So you want to maximize that by playing. But Skip, give me the honesty. Shannon, look. And they told me, Shannon, you can tear ligaments, you're going to have surgery. They didn't tell me I was going to rupture my Achilles or anything of that, or I posed a greater risk. Just I posed a greater risk for tearing the ligaments as opposed to having them stretched farther than what they needed to be. I posed the risk of tearing them. I just believe, and I didn't have a team, Skip. You got to realize, Skip, I was a 7th round draft pick. Skip, I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to hold on into the league. I'm not Kevin Durant. Maybe had I been a 1st round draft pick, had the security that I needed, maybe I'll make a better decision. Like, hell no, I'm sitting down. Kevin Durant had that luxury, Skip. Let's just say for the sake of argument, you're correct. He's the best player. I'm not looking at Kevin Durant any differently. I know what Kevin Durant represents, whether he played in this series or not. A lot of people like, well, he's not tough, and they use that against Kevin Durant because he's heard that, and I've even said it. I thought it was a bad move. It was a bad look for him to go join Golden State. But to question his toughness because he has an injury and he's not back in 2 weeks or 2 days, miss me with that one.
Well, certainly our thoughts are with Kevin Durant for a speedy recovery and hopefully a full recovery as well. Back to tonight, will the Warriors keep their season alive? Chris Broussard makes his pick up next.